fine. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joan Larson, and I am pleased to welcome you to this evening's candidate forum. I am a member of both of the organizations that are sponsoring this forum this evening, and it is sponsored by the Alexandria Area League of Women Voters and the local branch of the American Association of University Women. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization with a legacy of working on behalf of all voters. The League does not support, endorse, or financially contribute to political parties or candidates, but seeks to educate voters on the important issues faced by our elected leaders at all levels of government. The American Association of University Women has been empowering women as individuals and as community leaders since 1881. For more than 130 years, we have worked together as a national grassroots organization to improve the lives of millions of women and their families. Our moderator for tonight is Ken Howell. He and his wife Jeannie are co-chairs of the Alexandria Area League of Women Voters. Ken will explain to us how the forum will work tonight, and without spending any more time, I would like to introduce you to Ken Howell. Ken, I'll turn it all over to you.
Thank you very much, and thanks all of you for coming out. The format of the forum tonight is very simple. We begin with 2-minute introductions by each candidate, followed by questions submitted by the audience. We will allow 90 seconds for answers, and there will be no rebuttals to the questions. Our timer, Sue, will warn the candidates when their time is about to expire. At the end of the question and answer period, there will be an opportunity for candidates to have a 2-minute closing statement. We encourage the attendees here at this forum to get involved by asking questions. Questions that are unclear, hostile, of a personal nature, or are repetitious will not be used. Those with questions can simply hold them up at any time, and they will be collected and passed to our screeners here next to me. We'll try to get in as many questions as we can during the time we have, which will be about 90 minutes. If you don't get your question answered, I'm sure the candidates would be more than willing to spend some time talking with you afterwards. Candidates, the purpose of this forum is to allow you to demonstrate to our voters that you have the knowledge and skills to address the many important issues of our community. We encourage you to avoid generalizations in your answers. Rather, we hope you will provide specific, related information to each question and give examples of how your ideas make you worthy of the office you are seeking. At this time, we're going to begin with the candidate introductions, and by sense of logic and order, we're simply going to go from left to right. So, Judy, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Ken. First of all, thank you for having us here tonight. We appreciate being able to share our thoughts. My name is Judy Backus, and I have lived in Douglas County for 37 years. I came here as a teacher in 1981. Don't do the math, I'm kind of old. I was a coach. I became a principal, elementary principal at Lincoln and Carlos. And then I moved into the position of Human Resource Director for the school district. And in that position, I oversaw 700 employees. I oversaw transportation, early childhood special education, and a myriad of other things that we were assigned as school district administrators. So that's my background. I have been retired for 3 years. I've been very active in the United Way. Our family was campaign chairs in 2012. I was president of that board, served on that board for 6 years. I've also been on the Education Foundation board. My husband and I, our family, we believe in being involved in our community. My interest for running for county commissioner stemmed about a year ago. So I've been doing my research for the past year. And my interests involve primarily serving others because I believe that's what this job is. We serve others. We listen to people and we serve others so that we take care of the great county that we live in. I also am a believer in we have to watch our tax dollars. There aren't a lot of them. We have to spend them well so that we are benefiting from the dollars that we are expending. I believe in taking care of our lakes. They're a huge part of our economy and we have to take care of them. And finally, I believe in our county employees. We have over 300 employees that work for us every single day, and we need to take care of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Tim?
Hey, my name is Tim Kalina. I've lived in Douglas County all my life. I was born and raised on the farm that I live on now. My wife's name's Judy. I have 3 daughters and 5 grandchildren. I've been a dairy farmer. I took over the farm in 1979. Before that, I had my own farm equipment, repair and painting business that I started at age 15. And I did work for 11 equipment dealers doing painting. In 1994, I sold the dairy herd, still kept the hogs in grain farming. And then I went to work for Ferguson Brothers Excavating, where I worked with Williams Pipeline. I worked with ALASD, worked with ALP. I run a directional boring machine. I was a heavy equipment operator. I was a certified on-site sewer installer. And I got a lot of experience with on-site sewers when I installed them. And then right now, in 1997, I quit Ferguson's and went to work for Douglas County Public Works and Highway Maintenance. I've been there 20 plus years. I'm still employed there. And I've taken courses in farm and business management, OSHA competent person training, and I'm a certified pesticide applicator. And I also have a lake home, so I'm concerned about the quality of lake water and what effects it has on tourism and stuff around here. And I don't know what else to say. I want to be fair to the people. I want accountability in this county. I've seen firsthand what happens when the taxpayer money isn't spent wisely, and a lot of it isn't spent wisely. I mean, we need accountability in this county for what our money is being spent on. And it shouldn't be up to the taxpayer to fund everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
Okay, Jim Stratton. I'm currently your commissioner in District 2. Been so for almost 6 years. Enjoyed it. It's a real joy to be able to represent those people, not only in my district, but in all of Douglas County, because really you're all one group. My experience, my history is, my goodness, I've had positions in management, in service. I ended my career as a scout executive serving kids. I'm a longtime resident, way back in '67. You can do the math on that one. I am a taxpayer, own a home. It's important to be accountable for those taxes. Environmentally, I'm very active. I sit on the legacy board for, not the legacy board, but I helped develop the legacy board, Greater Minnesota Trails and Waterways, that gets money for our parks and trails. We didn't get that before. I sat on the Minnesota Rural County Caucus, which is 32 counties. I was the chair when this was happening. It was knockdown, drag out. I'm on the Land and Resource. That is a lightning rod committee. It's forever as somebody that's not happy. Currently Pope Douglas Solid Waste. I'm the chair. Represent Douglas County in the Association of Minnesota Counties on the environmental board, and I'm the vice chair of the hospital board. So my mantra is proven leadership. I believe that if I'm going to be involved and I represent you, it's important to take a leadership role.
Thank you, Jim. Charlie?
Hi, I'm Charlie Meyer, current county commissioner for District 4. I've been born and raised here. Working on my mother's major of English. But this fall will be 40 years I've been married to Kathy. We've raised 3 children in this community. We're fortunate enough they're all here living now. I'm married, I have 2 grandchildren. Been in a family business, most of you know me, Garden Center. Now with Fat Daddies and Broadway Ballroom. 2 of our sons are in the business with us now. I've served in the Alexandria Fire Department for over 20 years. I served as its relief president for 18 years. I've been on our state bowling board for 35 years. On the executive board and served as president in 03 and 04 for the state of Minnesota BPAM. I'm currently the president of the West Central Food and Beverage Association and have been at 3 different times the president of that group and that association, the West Central area. I sat on the bank board with Viking Savings for 12 years from 96 to 2008. I've been a county commissioner for 5.5 years or so, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Very important for me to see Douglas County succeed. I don't want to go anywhere the rest of my life either. I love it around here. I'd like to see it stay a lot the same. Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Thank you, Charlie. Beth?
I'm Beth Tewan, and most of you on this side know who I am, County and Union. I'm 69 years old. I'll just break it to you. Widowed. I have 2 children. I have 5 grandchildren. I have a rescue dog, Charlie Brown, who will bite you at will. Why did I do this? I really did it because I care about the people that are working here. I think things are not good, and I'm very emotional about it. I'm very committed to the employees of this county, and I think they have not been represented well. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Mike?
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the AAUW for sponsoring this. My name is Mike Woods. I moved here in 1986 with my wife, Norma, out there in the audience. And we will be married 40 years this month. And just to let her in a secret, our kids are planning a surprise anniversary party. She doesn't like surprises. Get that out. I was a social worker in Troy County, that's Brainerd, Minnesota, for 5 years. I got the opportunity to be a supervisor in social services here in Douglas County. I took that opportunity, and about 15 years later, I became the director of social services, and was the director of social services up until the time I retired. I am a U.S. Navy veteran. I was in the Minnesota National Guard for 4 years. What I think I bring to the table is common sense, collaborative, easygoing approach to kind of a style, if you will, of governing. I think sometimes we get too worked up about stuff and get excited, and we don't take the time to sit back, examine our options, and move forward. I've heard lots of stuff about the morale with the county, and I want to address that. But the one thing I want to make sure that everyone understands is I'm not going to address it off the top of my head. I need to know as much detail as possible before I can come to a conclusion, and I always will remind everyone that this is just one commissioner's position, and it's a 5-commissioner board, and we need to figure out a way to work together for the betterment of Douglas County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We're going to begin questioning. We're going in order, so Tim is going to take the first question. And The first question at our forums is always provided by the Echo Press, and we thank them for being here. I'm going to read their question, and then I'm going to read two other questions, because we've had a lot of questions related to this. So we're going to ask all three of these, and I'm going to make the executive decision to give each of you 3 minutes, if you choose, to answer this question. Question is, as you know, Douglas County government is the largest employer in the county. Counting the hospital, the county employs more than 1,100 workers. How would you describe the morale of county employees right now? What are some ideas you have of improving morale? Second question related to that. How do you plan on supporting county employees to ensure that Douglas County has their best interest in mind? And the third is, as commissioner, what will you do to try to rebuild the loss of trust between county employees and the county board? Would you support? Would you support? Would you? Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm just going to talk loud because I think this is off. So that actually ended the question. I got spooked by this being gone. So I'm going to rephrase that last part of that question. As commissioner, what will you do to try to rebuild the loss of trust between county employees and the county board? Tim, we begin with you.
Oh, thank you. Actually, we have been hearing you.
No, me, Tim.
Sorry.
That's even better. I like that.
Okay, to address this, as far as the employees are with being discouraged on the wages and stuff and the negotiations and stuff with it, it seems like there's different stories between the commissioners and the county coordinators. It seems like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. We're getting different stories. At the fall of last year with our insurance, everybody signed up for our insurance and we were told what we were going to get and what was going to happen. So we each had 4 different types of insurance we could choose. And we get some, the cheaper ones with the higher deductible will get more put into a healthcare savings plan to help offset the deductible. Well, all the non-represented employees and the department heads all got what they were told they were going to get. But the union people didn't get what they were told they were going to get because it wasn't settled. And then as negotiations went on, the represented employees were given last chance to settle, and they were given an amount that they would, and if this is your last chance, take it or leave it, or it would be worse than the next time. So a lot of the employees that were represented are now paying for part of their insurance, where the non-represented employees aren't paying for insurance. And that's getting the morale of the employees down because it's splitting up the employees. You got 2 groups, the haves and the have-nots. And a lot of people that work at the county are budgeted according to what their insurance is and what their wages are. And a lot of them are going to take a $300 hit on their paycheck because of the insurance that they were supposed to get, that they aren't, that the coordinator decided they weren't going to get. And in order to do this, I think the commissioners should be sitting in on the negotiations so they know what's going on. Right now, I don't think the commissioners have any idea what the coordinator is doing. And when you talk to a commissioner, a couple people that I know have talked to commissioners, and they thought everything was all settled and this and that, and you get totally 2 different stories from different people. And I think the way we can, get the morale back up is to have the commissioners sit down and decide what they're going to do. We have to have a situation here. Commissioners should be sitting down on negotiations so they know what's going on, so they have the opportunity to talk to the employees. I want to be a commissioner that if an employee has a problem, they can come and talk to me, that they don't have to go talk to somebody else. Thank you.
Jim?
All right, now I can start. Thank you. Yes, there is a certain amount of misunderstanding going around the county, and we need to fix it. But first we need to find out just what it is. We can't fix something that we don't know what it is. So I would, sitting on the hospital board, you get to see what they're doing, and they do a questionnaire about job satisfaction. There's about 20 questions in that. They have about 60-70% returns on that, so they got a good feel for what the employees are thinking. We don't know, other than what we hear about why they're not happy. We need to do a straw poll, and some kind of a questionnaire, but it can't be run by the county. It has to be run by an independent group, and it's totally populated by that group and then presented to the commissioners. Then we can find out, number one, how many people are upset and really, not happy, and what they're not happy about and what we can fix. But part of what I hear is fiscally responsible. We got to be fiscally responsible. We're spending money all over the place. We are fiscally responsible in that sometimes we have to cut corners and cut back on areas, and insurance is just one of those areas that it's not getting cheaper. It is very expensive. So we feel that we should all kick in on this. I think that it is important, and maybe the commissioner would be sitting on that negotiation. That would undermine our coordinator. I don't know if we should do it. The commissioners give that position the authority and their walking papers that said, this is what we will give. So I would, in fact, I'll probably go back tomorrow and suggest that we start this process and we get some kind of resolution to this. But in order to get a resolution, we need to know what we're dealing with. We're not going to run around willy-nilly throwing money at something. It just isn't going to work.
Charlie?
Yeah, it's, I think it's 7 unions that we have within the county. The job of the coordinators is very difficult. Not every union has a business representative. Do we end up with different deals with each group? Do we have some disappointed employees, frustrated employees? I do believe so. We've had a huge change in insurance, trying to find insurance coverage. Prime West developed Prime Health, which is owned by the counties, 13 counties. We have 8 counties in Prime Health. As Tim said, some non-represented, non-union member employees, nothing changed with their coverage. Unfortunately, in a union, which most union members know, they negotiate for everything. And I think everybody in this room also knows when that takes a lot of time, and it also takes money to do that. And not everybody gets what they want. I don't think the county always gets what they want either. It's a difficult thing. There is some more, morale issues. I think there's quite a few happy people that work at the county too. I mean, I don't think it's everybody. And it's an unbelievable cross-section. Some of the law enforcement compared to social services, the cost of the healthcare variation using PEEP, the Prime Health, is not good. It's very frustrating for us. Going forward, all we can try to do is, as owners of a health insurance company now in Prime Health, is try to make it better. We're getting a bigger group. There's another JPA trying to make it larger. The bigger the pool, the more affordable we can get. This health insurance is out of control anyway. I can't make any promises. I don't know how it'll get any better. Some people, I think, are going to be upset if you hang them with a new rope. It doesn't make any difference, you know, sometimes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I was emotional, but I got a note from some unknown person today that was really concerned about the human being and his feelings about the county. So, going on. I of course, have worked for the county for 33 years. Many of you know that. I was a social worker. I did protections. I did a lot of confrontation, problem solving. I started getting calls in 2016 from people stopping on the street asking me to also run. I think the issue was that all of a sudden the iPads were showing up and the timesheets were coming out and people were being held to an accountability standard that really, I think, marginalized people. I think we've all seen what happened at the veterans, what happened at LAR, the gag order, if that's what it was. I think this board has stepped into some things that they really didn't get good advice on. And I think part of that is going to have to be held accountable to the HR department. I don't see any other way out of it. I think the commissioners would know something if they actually did job evaluations on the department heads. There isn't any. I think they do their own evaluations. And so I think there's communication, there's discounting of employees. You cannot know what your department heads are doing if you don't ask the people that work under them. I think it's very simple. It's very simple management. And it hasn't happened, and it has snowballed into angry people. I also question the insurance because I'm not sure that there was what we call an RFP put out. I don't know what the deal is with Prime Last. I question it. And so we have this dilemma going on with people angry about insurance. I don't minimize the problems with insuring people. I don't think this is going to all go on. I think somewhere when it goes up, it comes down. So we'll have health insurance problems across the board. So that's kind of my take on it. It's probably rather blunt, and I'm not trying to look polite, but that's how I see it. Those are the phone calls I get, and the people calling to ask me things. And I think if we talk about money, we have to talk about their per diem. We have to talk about their salaries and the department head salaries. I'm done.
Thank you. Mike?
Thank you. Sometimes it's really good to be almost the last person speaking. Oh, we got you. Difficult subject. I was a county employee for almost 30 years. I was not a member of the union. I was one of the unrepresented groups, department head. And I always told any commissioner that would listen, don't treat the unrepresented people better or worse than the union people, because that will come back to bite you. I do understand that we have 7 unions, and as much as I would like to tell the coordinator, it's negotiate the same thing for all 7 unions, that's not how it works. They all have separate contracts, they all have separate languages in it. Some people earn vacation and sick leave different than others, some can use it different than others. So I understand that the contracts is what drives the negotiations. I'm a little worried about the suggestion that the commissioner sit in on the negotiation process. As an employee, I always call that micromanaging. So, but I'm not an employee now. So the commissioner sitting in on the actual negotiation process, I'm not supporting. Being aware of what's going on, getting feedback from both sides, I would support. The problem's been identified. There are employees that aren't happy. A number of employees. I've gotten letters, I've gotten texts, I've gotten phone calls. They aren't the kind of letters and texts that say, oh, I'm not happy. They're the kind of letters and texts that they're really not happy. Something's going on. So when you identify a problem, now you gotta identify a solution. One of the things I recommend is that the board establish some kind of relationship with the employees. Not necessarily through the unions representing, but people from each sector meeting and talking about what things are going on, what things bother them. Back 30 years ago, we'd sit in a meeting with the employees, and it was sort of like, whatever you said during that meeting, didn't leave that room. So you could feel free to communicate back and forth without fear of repercussions. And I think maybe that's what we need. I do agree. We need to clearly identify the problem. Unhappy employees do not make good employees. And we have good employees, and if it continues to be left to fester, sorry guys, we'll become not good employees. It's hard to be a good employee when you're not happy and you don't feel supported and backed by your management and the commissioner.
Thank you, Mike. Judy?
I too have heard the morale issues. I visited with a number of employees and some department heads, and I'm a data person. I like to do my homework. I am a believer. The board owns it. The board is the one. I mean, that's where the buck stops. So you have to know what's going on. When I worked directly under school board superintendent, they gave me direction. So I negotiated with 7 different union groups, and I sat on both sides of the table. Initially, I represented teachers and negotiated for them, and represented principals and did that. And then it turned, and I was on the other side. So I knew what it felt like, and I knew every time you sat down at the table, you needed to do that with respect and appreciation for people. The issues that I'm hearing about are insurance, communication, the time clock system, a lack of appreciation, and micromanagement. So I'll be specific on what I would do. Insurance, it's always difficult. Those prices are going to continue to go up. But what I think what's missing in the county is communication. My process would be 2 representatives from every work group. You sit at a table, you learn about insurance, so you can go back and educate the people that you're representing. It should be a program that hopefully everybody's on the same plan, but insurance is getting more and more complicated, and I think everybody has to sit at the table so you create that communication. Each group knows what the other group is getting. That's how I would work through that. Time clock system, I'll tell you this, I don't like them. We had to do that in the school district for our hourly employees because of Obamacare. When I was told we needed to do it, I don't want to. I'm not wild about time clock systems. Sometimes, yeah, for hourly employees, but definitely not for salaried employees. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's too difficult to manage. When I think of patrol officers and social workers going out on visits, and if the reason is accountability, all you've done is determine how much seat time people are giving. So I'm not wild about that. And micromanagement, again, boards are for policy. They oversee policy and they give direction. Beyond that, they don't step in and micromanage things. I think at times, yeah, maybe 2 board members need to sit in on some difficult negotiations to give perspective. But beyond that, you hire good people and you let them do their jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Jim, now we begin with you.
Thank you.
And thanks for taking the 3 minutes to talk about that issue. As I mentioned, there have been a number of questions related to employee morale. We're going to move on. Jim, the question is, please...
Excuse me, 2 minutes?
90 seconds. Please explain your understanding of the lake's quality problems and specifically your solutions to protect them from further deterioration.
What part of the lake quality problem do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about invasive species, you want to talk about phosphates, you want to talk about chloride. There are all kinds of problems, and they all have their very distinct picture that they present. There is no one answer for all of them. You have to look at them in their own little folder. And part of what we're doing is, I sit on that board, or the committee that we're trying to come up with the legacy funding. And that's the first step. If we don't have funds to match grants, we don't get grants. Grants are what address individual issues, and all of our lakes have different issues. They do. And just be sure that you understand that there is no one, thank you, there is no one answer to this problem other than diligence. We have to be diligent and watch and be aware of what's coming down the pipe, especially for AIS. I sit on that state AIS board, I'm the chairman of it. I get firsthand of what's coming down and where it's at. It's important. So, I'm supposed to stop.
Thank you. Terry?
A water quality issue is huge. Douglas County made a deal over 40 years ago about going with the lakes, idea of protecting our lakes and our legacy with that. And it's very important to me. Tremendous amount of work on AIS. Like Jim says, we're doing a lot of things with the state. We are the front of, I think it's 5 watersheds in Douglas County. The one that concerns me more than anything is the ditch system, because it's being managed very well, I think, through Public Works, but it's not being managed by farmers as much as landowners and hunters and everything else. Maybe these ditches were built 100, 110 years ago. It needs a good look at. I think that's got a lot to do with some water quality. Between the lake associations and, and the AIS group, we're doing quite a few things. Taking care of the roads with the salt, and the chlorine. But, Douglas County has made a commitment, and they are, like I say, they are our business, for this whole county. That's what makes Douglas County a great place to live and to come to, because we have those lakes. And so it is one of the most important jobs that we do have as a commissioner.
Thank you. Beth?
I've done a little research on carp, and I've done a little research on water softeners, and I have come to the conclusion that the horse is sort of out of the barn. And what we can do locally is, I guess I would recommend that we go back to where the sewage starts at ALASD. I'm not sure the system can tolerate what's coming through. I think you're going to have to look at someone outside of that particular function as a standalone group. So I have no real ideas. I would call Benny Hedstrom actually to find out about carp, because I know nothing, and they are everywhere, and they are causing great problems. So water softeners, I can tell you about. Carp, I can tell you how much they spawn. I can tell you about buffers. I can tell you that this is a federal problem. It is a state problem. I don't even know where you start, but I guess I would start with ALASD and looking to see if that operation can actually handle all that's coming through. And then you go from there. If it's working, fine. Do what you can. I think you also have to look at possibly the septic system thing. I agree with. All right, that's it.
Thanks. I just got to give you a disclaimer. When I first started going to board meetings and they started talking about ditches, I kept thinking to myself, why are we worrying about all these little things next to the road? It's just mow them and be done with it. It took me about a year to go, oh, those ditches that transport water from where they used to be to where we want them to be. And we've been messing with Mother Nature for a long time, and I think we need to keep messing with Mother Nature, but think about, those ditches are important to us. I know that now. The average Joe citizen doesn't think a ditch, I don't live by a ditch. That's some farmer's problem, and that's one. Those all transport water from our lakes to our lakes, and it can cause a lot of problems with runoff. I'm going to tell you, I had the hardest job I've ever had in my life last year. I sat at the beaches here in Douglas County and did boat inspections. And we have a major problem with invasive species. Contrary to about 75% of the people that told me where I could put stuff when I talked to them about invasive species. So we have a lot of education to do about our lakes. And I think what the county can do is just set number one priority that we are going to protect our lakes, and that any decision we make, we ask ourselves, how does that make our lake better? If we can just ask ourselves that, we can go a long ways.
Thank you. Judy?
As I stated in my opening remarks, lakes are a huge issue for us because they're such a big source of our economy here in Alexandria. And when we start having the invasive species come, it's going to hurt all of us. We've seen what's happened to Winona. We don't want to go there with our other lakes. Everything costs money. We were asked to be specific in what we would do. Not wild about raising taxes, but I will tell you, I believe for this issue to try and move forward with a 50-cent sales tax so that many of the people that are coming from outside of our county are also helping to pay for this. The data on that is if you do that type of a thing, you will gain approximately $3 million a year. That is huge. You don't have to do it for 100 years. You can set a limit. We do it for 5 years. We build a trust so that we can start getting ahead of any of the issues that are already occurring in our lakes. That was successful when we did that for roads and bridges. I think in Douglas County, we have to do something like that to take care of our lakes. Right now, I think it's about $200,000 that is going out of a county budget into this area. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not enough. There's so much going on that we have to start putting time, effort, and funds towards this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim?
Okay, I have a county ditch that runs through my farm. I have buffer strips along the sides of it. And that was mandated about 25 years ago that farmers have to have a minimum of 16.5-foot buffer strip to protect the waters from runoff. I also have a feedlot on my farm, and I have about a 250-foot buffer strip between the feedlot and the county ditch that runs through my farm. I work for the county. We use salt on the roads. Salt is a big polluter. But every one of you have a water softener, like Beth said. How many pounds of salt do you use per month? You know, the population of Alexandria is like 14,000. You cut that to 3 people per family. You cut that in by a third, that's 4,000. If you use 50 pounds of salt a month, look how many pounds of salt is going into the ALSD sewer system and back into the lakes because they can't separate the salt from that. And if you're going to protect your lakes, it starts a lot with chemicals too. People around the lakes, they got to have a nice green lawn. And sure, it's nice to put a lot of fertilizer down, but you put the fertilizer down, you have the rain, where does it end up? It ends up in the lake. And that's where you got a lot of algae. And geese. Geese are the biggest polluted areas. Geese carry everything from one lake to another. It ain't always the boaters that do it, it's the geese. And I think we need to control the goose population around Alexandria here because they are the biggest polluters. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie, we begin the next question with you. Please provide examples, if you have them, of how tax dollars are not being spent wisely. Keeping in mind that the balance between unions and taxpayers, what, if anything, would you cut?
Well, thank you so much for that. What's not being spent wisely? got in this mess in the first place, I think, it's about 6 years ago. And I an opinion of wise or not, got me. You know, we argue a lot. Is it about the lakes? Is it about the roads? Tim makes a point. You know, the road salt, but that don't make it okay to run bad softeners or softeners. That's, you know, who's polluting the most. I really, you know, it seems like we've been trying to hold the levee as close as we can the last 5 or 6 years. We've tried to clean up a lot of those things. And fiscal responsibility is something that I pride myself in, or tried to. And we're not doing it off the back or the morale of the people and the workers. I think some of them would argue with me that. There's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts to the county, a lot more than I thought. There's over 90 committees that we sit on, and between solid waste and a hospital and the highway department, there's a lot of different things. I'm sorry I can't come up with anything right in my head where we're really throwing money away, because I don't think we are.
Yep.
Really kind of drawing a blank as well. I think one of the issues I have, since I've worked in the government center, was money spent on buildings that really probably shouldn't have been spent, that being one of my really top things. I think we could narrow down the number of committees there are, if you want to say nickel and dime sort of stuff. And I would have to say that I think it would be kind of arrogant on my part to talk about that. I know a lot of things, but I don't always know where money goes. So I guess that's why I'm running. I'm curious how it all works, where it all goes, how decisions are made. I think you have to be a curious person to be a commissioner.
Thank you. Mike?
I was really hoping Charlie would say that he's wasting a lot of money. I think back off that. He didn't do that. Yeah. You know, I went to a lot of board meetings over the years. I've put together over 20 annual budgets for the social service department. Never once has a board ever set the budget back to me and said, Mike, you're a little low, beef it up a little bit and bring it back to us. They've always said, give me your, take 2% off or 5% off, and in some years 10% off. And we could always find that 10% in a budget because it's an estimated budget. And in social services, if a family comes into this county and they have 5 children and they need foster care, that can blow a social service budget out of the water. If in public works, they budget for 40 days of snow and it gets 80 days of snow and ice, that blows their budget. I'm not going to sit here and look at you guys and say, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to save you $25,000. I've seen commissioners do that, and then when you pull it all back together, it actually costs you more money than they saved. I just saved on this left hand, but it cost you on the right hand, and we don't talk about that. So I'm not going to tell you I'm going to cut the budget. It's like jello. You push it, it goes over here.
Thank you. Judy?
Running a county, it's a service agency. So typically service agencies, 80 to 82% of your budget is going to go to your staff, as it should. It doesn't leave you a lot left to try and make cuts, because hopefully you want to take care of your staff and treat them well. So I don't have any specifics either, but I will say this, since I've been here a long time. Many years ago, it was looked at to put all the agencies pretty much under one roof or in one area, and that got pushed by the wayside. I think it's cost the county a lot of money. The last number I heard was $7 million, because now we've got sites in different locations. So you have people that have to travel. You don't have enough parking. Communication, thank goodness we have technology, it's made that easier, but it's also good to do those face-to-face. So now when you have all these entities in different places, where 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they had an opportunity to put it all on one site. And when you do that, and you can collectively share services, you save much more money. Similar to what was done with Horizon Public Health, going to five counties put together. Significant savings for all of us. So, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, I work for highway maintenance, and I can tell you one thing, we have roads that are being worked on for a third time in less than 20 years. That tells you that somebody isn't doing their job when it comes to designing these roads and building these roads and making them last. The average road should last 20 years. And again, I see it in equipment purchases too. When we get trucks that are spec'd from 5 years back that are still the same now for using for equipment that we don't have, like hydraulic systems and stuff that we don't need. They don't fit a lot of our equipment. The people who are approving this stuff don't know what they're approving. I've had an equipment background for over 40 years. I've done mechanic work for over 40 years. I know equipment. I buy my equipment on a farm. I know how to spec equipment. And a lot of this equipment, the commissioners don't have any experience. They're depending on the department head to tell them what they need, and they're approving it. And another thing is all these brand new lease vehicles we got. I don't see why we have to have all new vehicles and lease all of them when we have good vehicles. When I started at the Public Works, we had old vehicles. You could see the road through the floor and when we drove them. That's all we do is get place to place with them most of the time. And it's timekeeping. As far as it's going with the timekeeping now in Public Works, it's a total disaster. We can't charge out. We're going to lose money on on county state aid roads because we can't charge equipment out because we don't have hours and miles. The old time system worked 100% better. Thank you.
Wow. What do you really think about that? Well, Judy had the fine opportunity to sit through an hour, 2, 3, 5 hours of budget discussion. So I'm kind of surprised that she didn't have the answers. I was looking for them.
I tried, Jim.
I know. Yes. One of the things I did bring up at that was we have one of the budgets that constantly, without a doubt, goes up 6 to 9% every year. Without a doubt. That one is a place that we may be able to save some money. We got rid of longevity. Longevity is something that after you've been there for 10 years, you get additional 2% and then additional 4% on your increases, guaranteed, above your negotiated cost of living. For the first 10 years, we have an average, the last 10 years, we have had an average of 5.2% per year increases, which is 52%. And that isn't including our wonderful thing called compound interest. So, just a tidbit, over the last 6 years that I've been a commissioner, our average levy hasn't been more than 1% increase.
Thank you, Jim. The next question begins with Beth. Different topic, Beth. Alexandria Health is owned by the taxpayers of Douglas County. In a time of healthcare consolidation, why should we remain county-owned? Please explain.
I don't think we should.
Why are we not?
Well, I have some concern about reimbursement issues coming down with Medicare and the medical system. I don't know that the county needs to be in the hospital business. I don't know what the liability would be if we did. I don't know what Heartland's play in all this is either. So just on a basis of, I like to look at it from a liability issue. Do we need to do it? What's it going to cost us? Is it beneficial to us? Does money come into the, to run the county? I don't know. It's I think it's something that really has to be explored.
Right?
I think that having a county-run hospital that's fully funded and independent of 5 county commissioners, as it's not a nine-person board. We still need that. We need local control. I don't think we can afford to let a bigger corporation decide what we need here. We need to decide what we need here. And I think with a county-run hospital, we can make that go. As far as I know, I've never heard the county hospital come to the county board and say, hey, we need a loan or we need some money to make payroll. They've always been able to make payroll and expand and continue to grow. With some law changes that took place in the last 1 or 2 years for investments, the hospital is in a much better position to continue to grow and be more competitive in terms of the interest they can earn. And I think as long as the hospital is not an economic burden on the county, I see no reason to change.
I'm going to concur with Mike. I am proud of our hospital. I am impressed. I gave birth to 2 children there and survived, so, and they're still alive. It's all good. But we have to remember, we were named in the top 100 hospitals in the nation. We must be doing something right. They are fully funded. They're independent. I just think they've done a phenomenal job, and if it's not broken, I don't want to step into that. I'm proud of us. I think the people there are fabulous, and no, I'll leave it at that. I wouldn't do anything with it. They've done a great job.
Tim? Well, Mike, I don't really have a concern with the hospital. I think it's doing a great job the way it is. It brings a lot of people in. We have people from other states that come to this hospital. And with the lakes area and everything around here, it's a big draw. We have people from other counties and stuff that come to our lakes. And we have the hospital here, and the hospital draws people. I don't see, the only thing I just didn't care for was the name change. I thought that was sort of something we should have kept as Douglas County Hospital, because it's a landmark. When you say Alexandria Health, where's that, you know? And Douglas County has a good reputation with the hospital, has a good name, and people, when you mention Douglas County, oh, you got the hospital there, Douglas County Hospital. You say Alexandria Health, where's that at, you know? So I think the hospital should stay part of the county. That's all I got to say.
You, Jim?
When I first got into the commissioner's position 6 years ago, I didn't realize that you had to understand how to run a hospital. And it's important, and I believe that remaining part of the county is also important. We looked at a 501c. We decided no, it was not something we wanted to do. Because even if we had gone to a 501c, what would have happened was they would have had levy authority so that if they had lost money, we'd have paid for it anyway. This way we have a control over what's happening there, how that money is spent, and how it's saved. So it is one of the top 100s in the nation. It's a very well-run hospital. Currently the vice chair, I'm learning exponentially more than I had before about how that hospital is run, and run very efficiently. So I'd say no.
Charlie?
Yeah, I'm the immediate past chair for the hospital board, and I love the question because it's really got us a home field advantage, because I had no idea what it took to try to be on a board and run a hospital board. We do now. It's taken a long time, but it's a phenomenal place. There's 900 employees up there. 1980 was the last time it's seen red ink. Pretty good run, reinvestment. We do a lot of things together with other areas, but we keep our own identity. Alamere or Douglas County. Yeah, I agree with you, Tim, to a point on the name thing. I went to the first meeting and couldn't go back because I'm as Douglas County as they come. But I go along with it, you know. 152 zip codes last year through Heartland. 102 zip codes of the babies that were born there last year. It's a health system. A lot of people, maybe even in this room, don't know that we own the Osakis Clinic, which is now Alamere Health. The Alec Clinic is Alamere Health. It's all one. That's part of the naming thing. Douglas County Hospital has been doing very well, doing us proud. How to go to a 501c3 like Jim was talking about. It's like giving away one of our greatest assets in the entire county. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, this question begins with you. How should commissioners deal with issues that come before them that may create a conflict of interest? For example, the recent issue of vacation rental property or land or water ordinances that affect properties and businesses owned by commissioners. What should a commissioner do in those circumstances?
That's a real good question. Because if you live in this county, you're going to be conflicted on, you could potentially be conflicted on everything that comes in front of you. I think that each commissioner has to be as transparent as possible with what is potentially a conflict, and I use the word potentially specifically. If the public perceives that you're conflicted, you're conflicted. And the public will believe that you made a vote based on your best interest as opposed to the county's best interest. So I think any commissioner that even has a slight inkling or a thought that they might be conflicted should excuse themselves from the vote in front of them.
Thank you.
Well, again, I'm going to agree with Mike. If there's a conflict, professionally, you recuse yourself from that. You can certainly listen, but no, you need to recuse yourself from any type of vote, any type of participation on a committee that's involved in that. And that to me is professional and ethical. Pretty straightforward for me, I guess.
Yep.
Well, I forgot to mention, I was also a supervisor on Lake Mary Township, and in Lake Mary Township, we had a bunch of developments that came in there, and when I was on the board, we didn't have any resolutions, and we made a bunch of resolutions to help protect the taxpayers in our township with the building of the roads. They had to do certain things, build the roads to 7-ton specs and all this. And I got accused by a developer one time because I have lake property. He was coming in there to do a development, and he accused me of being on the lake side because there was a petition that was to try and stop this development because it was on an environmental lake. So I stood out and let the rest of the board take the vote and stuff on it, because that's the best thing you can do is if you're in one of them situations is to just step back and be a neutral party to it and let the rest of the board take care of it. Because you don't want to have personal conflicts with people that you're trying to, well, be accountable to. And you want to be accountable to the public and the taxpayers in the best way you can. So the best is to recuse yourself from being part of that situation.
Thank you. Yep.
Simple, excuse yourself. I don't own lake property and I don't own VRBOs. So that's not a real issue. In fact, I sat on the board, the committee that formed the new VRBO ordinance, and I also sit on the board of Land and Resource that dictates who does and who doesn't get exceptions, the conditional use parts of it. So I would have a real issue if I did own a VRBO or lake property and be able to represent the other 4,000 people in my district or 40,000 people in our county with that kind of a conflict. So that's tough. You're missing a key part of being a commissioner by not just owning the property or a VRBO, but of losing out the opportunity to represent everybody else in the county. Integrity and honesty, bottom line.
Charlie?
Yeah, I'm not involved with the water like that or VRBO, but being in business, it comes up quite often for me, and you can ask Celeste. I usually abstain. No, I do always, really. I think it's RAP in England and around the sanitarium one, which is public health, making policy for restaurants, so on and so forth, other event centers. Just had one recently that you have to abstain. You can't. If they ask a question, I can help maybe with some advice or something like that if I've been through it, but no, you can't. Can't be involved in that decision making when it's personal. Setting fees for the sanitarium, I'd have loved to have been involved in. They didn't allow that.
Thank you.
You've been covered.
Judy, we start this question with you. The question is, what legacy will you leave the taxpayers? Please state concrete issues that you will try to solve as a county commissioner.
Well, I think I'd start with hopefully building up morale that currently exists in the county, getting that to certainly a new level. I think probably what I talked about earlier are lakes. But that is an issue we have to start dealing with now. It's not something that we can wait on. So getting the funds, putting things in place so that our lakes still stay a priority and an economic draw for all of our taxpayers. And then, it's always been my personality. I went into education. I serve on many boards because of my desire to serve others, to listen to others, to work collaboratively, to build relationships. If I'm elected and when I walk away from this, I hope people say, you know what, she was respectful, she worked hard for us. That would mean a lot to me. But in regards to concrete pieces, I'd go back to dealing with the morale piece, but then certainly dealing with our lakes, having a good foundation so that we don't down the road hurt our economy as a whole here in Douglas County.
Thank you, Jim.
Hey, first thing I want to do is I want to get common sense back into government, because there's a lot of common sense that is not being used right now. And you need to listen to the people. I'd like to change the meetings to evening meetings. Say like the city council and them, have them at 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. There's a lot of working people that would like to come to the commissioner meetings but cannot because of jobs. And we have a lot of good people out here from a lot of different businesses and industries that have a lot of good ideas. And I think a lot of them people need to be listened to as far as what goes on in the county. Because right now, it seems like the voice of the people is not being heard. And I would like to have the voice of the people being heard and give us comments, tell us what we need, and try to make decisions together. Not just have a few people making decisions that affects everybody. Because most of the time, 10 people can make input into a decision that will come out a lot better than 2 or 3 people. And that's what I look at. When I look at something, if I'm looking at doing something, I get input from other people to try and get a better decision. Different people see things from different aspects. And if you can get enough people, filter down the decisions and the input that they have, you will probably get an end result that everybody will be happy with. Thank you.
Jim?
Everybody has an opinion on something, and I've always said, I value your opinion, but I would value it even more if you back it up with data. That is important. because now it becomes a valuable opinion that I can take forward and present it. So, yeah, input from people is important. It is something that I have learned that is very important, that if somebody calls me, I call them back. If they don't leave their name or send me information without a name on it, that is about as invaluable as you can get. But the legacy, we all want to leave a legacy for our youth. My involvement with the Sportsman's organization here in town for more than 40 years, which their prime focus is on the environment, all the aspects that go along with the environment, whether it's hunting, it's fishing, the lakes, all of that. I've been involved with that, hands-on. Like I said, I've already been with the AIS and a number of other committees. So that is important. Leave a legacy.
Eric? You needed to be. Fiscal responsibility, accountability, and the accountability factor isn't just on the staff or the accountability that we have to the taxpayers and to the staff itself. Those things are very, very important. Some of the other things that we do in joint powers agreements, there's a lot of things merging with other counties. Look at Horizon Public Health, Hope Douglas Incinerator. These things have been great. They're saving money for the long run. The law enforcement, the radio system, the 19 county JPA, we're trying to do some things. We just put together a JPA with 23 counties on IT. Hopefully will save us some money on technology, especially on maintaining the technology going forward. What do I want to do? It's just like when I was in the fire department, the things we always talked about. Same thing your dad and your mother told you, when you do something, leave it better than you found it. That's all I want to do. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, there's some things that we haven't talked about that are really, I think, important for this community. And it's really family oriented, and it's tough because I'm a woman and I had to go to use daycare and different things. But I think we should really work at providing daycare. I know that Knute Nelson is starting a program. We're really short. If we're going to employ people here, we're going to have to do that. We have to have affordable housing. I think we have to have some kind of program that enriches the housing market, especially in Alexandria. Certainly, I'm very pro-employee. I'm very accessible. I'm very opinionated. I think people will tell me things and trust me to represent them. I really do, and Michael would probably attest to this too. We looked at, the state came down some time ago on to regionalized social services. You know, it gets to be really touchy because everybody wants their own school, their own county government. But I think we have to move, and populations are decreasing around us. I think we have to look at joining hands and becoming regionalized, whether these small towns want it or not. But Traverse County has 3,500 people. I think it's a cost-effective thing. I think we need to also do much better at job evaluations. I think we need to. I didn't have a job evaluation point for the last 10 years that I worked, which is unheard of, I think, in most industry. Thank you. Goodbye.
Mike? Thanks. Many of the issues that was mentioned are my issues too, and I won't repeat them. I'm going to focus in on two things. One is I think we need to work on a real long-range plan that involves all of the agencies that we work with and the counties around us and the state of Minnesota. And when we get that plan developed, that we use all of our make all of our decisions based off that long-range plan. I've been involved in long-range plans, and most of them get stuck in a drawer and never looked at. So we need a real one. So that would be my legacy, that we'd have a long-range plan that would be out 20, 30 years, would be magical, and it would turn out to be a great thing. The other thing that my legacy that I would like to leave, and I'll look at Al, if by some fluke I get elected as county commissioner, Al will come to me and take 2 pictures. One picture with a smile on my face, and one picture with a frown. He's already done this to me. And I said, what's the picture with the frown for? And he goes, in case you do something stupid. I don't want to do anything stupid.
Thank you. This next question ties into some of the comments that were just made here, and this might be a short answer, but I think it's worth talking about. How do you feel about the consolidation that occurred with the creation of Horizon Health? The real question is, do you know if the county is saving money as a result of this? And this can be a yes, no, elaborate question if you have more specifics. And this starts with Tim.
Well, I'm not that familiar with it, so I don't really know what to tell you on that. But the consolidation, I'd say, is probably a good thing, where we have multiple counties working together instead of just one county doing everything. It seems like if you can spread the expenses between more counties, you have a better availability to people and stuff like that. Where there are more counties, you can get better access to different well, I don't know how to explain this, because I'm not really a public health person. But I'd say that, yes, the multiple county is a good thing.
You want the politically correct answer or what I feel? No, I voted no when we went for this, and I still would vote no, because it cost Douglas County more per capita for our health services than it did previously.
Larry?
The merger has been very successful for education. Jim is right. It's our health care in Douglas County prior to Horizon was just about zero. I think about $30,000 to $40,000, maybe $1 a person. We got close to that this year, or for 2017. We'll be the Horizon Health. Sandy Tubbs has done a wonderful job merging. There's a lot more services available. If we wouldn't have done it, the federal government and the state of Minnesota doesn't want to deal with agencies of groups of less than 75,000 people. Well, with us merging with Stevens, Traverse, Graham, and Polk, we're still at about 60-some thousand. We are 54, 58% of that. Overall, in the long run, it'll be cheaper doing that. We've been used as an example for other rural areas trying to merge. And the first thing is, how did you get 25 county commissioners to agree to that? We said we didn't, but we got a majority of them. So, and it's worked very well. The services in the rural area, like Beth was alluding to about Traverse County being 3,500 people. Leave it at that. All the time.
I've always had a close working relationship with public health prior to Phoenix, or Horizon, because I call it Phoenix. I don't know. Part of me has the old ways where you walk across the hall and you have a relationship and you work on a plan from both perspectives, and so I don't know. It's a business deal. We have to provide services. Outstate Minnesota has to look at providing differently. Right, Alexandria happens to have more people, more resources. So we get tapped. I'm assuming if Jim's right, we pay more of us. I just think there are things that have to change whether we like it or not. There are things we're going to lose when we do that. I'm not going to know the nurse in Polk County I think the question would be how many supervisors you have. That would be very costly.
Right?
I was in on part of that planning process from 25 years ago, and it wasn't at the same level it is now. I was opposed to it back then, only because it felt like Douglas County was going to provide all the services to other counties. That did not happen. That's not what's going on. Those counties have formed one entity, and they provide services across county lines. They don't care that you drive to the county line, like a social worker may drive to a county line, and the house is across the county line, they can't go in there. That doesn't happen. It may cost Douglas County taxpayers a little bit of money extra, but the amount of money that the county was putting into public health was embarrassing, quite frankly. It wasn't enough money to even talk about. This big agency that's going on now, they have time and energy and staff to write for grants and create new programs that we would never see if we were a standalone county. So we lose some closeness and relationships, but we gain 5 times as many services. And so, as we all know, this county is growing, and the senior population is growing, and the elected workforce is not growing here. So we need to work together. So I would continue to support that.
I got to make again. Absolutely. You know, I too compliment Sandy Tubbs. I think she's done a great job. There has been significant savings. When I met with Sandy, the number that she threw out was $400,000. That's significant. It happens because you do cut down on administrative costs. You're not duplicating those services across 5 counties. Now you're collaborating and you're working together. That saves all of us money, and you can offer more programs, and we have. The other thing that's significant is that when you collaborate and work together, granting entities love that. Your chances of getting grant dollars improve vastly, and that has occurred because of the combination of these 5 counties. So, and we are a model. Other people are coming and looking at what we've done. So I think we've provided more services, we've cut costs, and we will gain funds because of that collaboration. So I think it's great. I hope that we can do it in other areas. Staff was not lost. There were no cuts or anything when this combination occurred. But those reductions were made as people retired or left. So I think it's great for all of us.
Thank you. We're going to end our questioning in light of our time and getting to closing statements. We're talking about health, now we're going to get down and dirty. This question came in about your opinion of the decision related to the gravel pit near the city of Ferreta, where citizen concerns about it getting adequate attention by the county. And this starts with Jim.
Oh, thank you. I was very integral about the decision not to proceed on that because I was on the Land and Resource Board and I had a lot of information in regards to the aquifer that would potentially affect. That aquifer is very shallow, and guess what direction it runs? It runs right into your backyard here in Alexandria. And it has 2, not 1, but 2 pipelines going kitty corner across that property, and there are points where it's less than 3 feet down. So no, it did not make sense. And yes, I feel that they did get a real hearing on that. I went to several meetings down in Ferreta in regards to this. So just because of my association with that board and that decision, I can tell you a lot more than probably anybody else here.
Target?
Yeah, I could, Jim's on that board, Jim's also on the planning commission. I heard plenty about it. We went with the recommendation that they made, and we did not advance with the, that's about all I have to say. We took the recommendation, and that's why we have committees in the future. If you want to keep committees, I think you
Yeah.
Comment about, I'm not familiar with that part of it.
Okay. Mike?
I agree with Beth.
Judy, you want to comment on this one?
I can agree with you, Mike. I did read the report. It came out voicing concerns, and I follow this because we own a piece of property in the municipality of Ferreta. As I read through the report, they were looking for an environmental study, and the county's response was that the concerns that were raised could be handled through mitigation or variances. So I don't think it's a done issue. My understanding is that Mineraths can come back and look to proceed. And then it's fact-finding and it's data and listening to people again. And certainly Ferreta can enter in as a municipality and put some guidelines that affect their community directly. But I don't think it's a done deal. I think right now it's been put on the back burner as I read through the report that was submitted.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not in favor of it. I'll tell you that right now. And the land that they have is a 79-acre parcel, and just so that they wouldn't have to do an environmental impact study, they made it 39 acres. Well, being they own 79 acres, you think they're going to just do 39 acres with a gravel pit? It's going to keep expanding and expanding and getting larger. And like Jim said, the aquifer, it's very shallow there. A lot of the wells in Freight are a little over 30 feet deep. And they start mining and they get down 30 feet. Mining gravel, most of them wells are going to get contaminated. Plus the noise issue. We had a noise issue just with stock car races here on Saturday night. That's going to be going 6 days a week, minimum, probably from 6 in the morning till 10 at night. Truck traffic, gravel crushing, dozers operating. Next there'll be an asphalt plant out there, and it's just going to snowball. And I feel sorry for the people of Ferreta that have to live with something like that. Some of the people are a couple hundred feet away from where there's going to be dust, and some people have allergies. How would you like dust in your house every day from the gravel pit next door, from all the dust that's coming there? And there's got to be some guidelines, and as far as I'm concerned, I would go on it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to closing statements now. We're going to offer 2 minutes, and keeping in order, we're going to begin with you, Charlie.
Well, thanks for having me. Going forward, I've enjoyed actually the 5.5 years, learned an awful lot about Douglas County I didn't know, and I didn't know I could do that. I thought I'd seen about every corner there was, all kinds of things. And going forward though, a lot of the things we've done in collaboration, these mergers, for an area like this, it works the best getting grant money. You get eliminated if you do not move forward, like with a Horizon. If you do not merge with smaller groups to help make the group bigger, federal government doesn't. It's our money there also. The accountability to the taxpayers and to you folks is very important. That's how I ended up here in the first place. And it still is very important to me to be accountable to you and to find out that we're doing the best we can with the money. Like a couple of them have said, and I agree 100% about building buildings. Do we need buildings? But we've got some doggone good buildings. I swear, see that? And we got a lot of good buildings, but it takes a lot of maintenance. It takes a lot of work. We have a very good maintenance crew with the county. Our grounds guy over here at the courthouse and at Central School and stuff. The equipment in there takes a lot of work. It's not free. It's difficult and it's ongoing. We have a lot of good people that work for the county. all over. Thank you.
Well, my closing statement is very simple. I think this is sort of a job interview. People make decisions on how they want to be represented in District 4. Charlie, Mike, or I, that would be your choice. And you'll base it on, I suppose, personal needs like most people do. I would be happy to serve District 4. If not, this has been a really very good experience for me. I have to say I've had a good time. You learn a lot, and I think it's important that I do that. And I certainly haven't been comfortable talking to groups like this. It isn't my strong suit. But I guess it's really up to whoever can vote in District 4, and I hope they come out and vote. And that'll be a choice. And I think we're presenting 3 choices. And you'll have to notice that none of us have signs or door knocking. We're all kind of sluggish. Compared to